All right, Merts, welcome to the CineMerts podcast. We're Max Colson and Levi Johnson. We're a couple of guys who like films. We like the round films, the square films, the orange films, the blue films. Put them all together. That's the films. Today we watched Django Unchained.
Yeah, we did. And god damn it, this movie is still a game changer. And it's been like 9 years.
Yeah. This one just does not get old for me.
Yeah,
It's I'm like, it's my favorite Tarantino movie, and I don't think it is really, but it's definitely like the one I find the easiest to revisit.
yeah. Like watching it is like it's really easy. It's like really
Mm,
digestible. Like
yeah, yeah, it's definitely got that kind of just immediate rewatchability. Like I feel like if I'm gonna put on something like, I don't know, Pulp Fiction, I feel like I have to kind of be in a certain mood.
yeah, like
Even though overall I'd say it's more probably, I think Pulp Fiction is probably my favorite.
yeah. I'm a lowly scrub, so like my Tarantino watch list is actually like maybe half of the movies that he's released.
Ah, right.
Um, like I've seen Pulp Fiction. I've forgotten the Nazi one.
Inglorious Bastards.
Inglorious Bastards. Thank you. Um, Django. He did another movie as well.
Kill Bill.
Kill Bill. Yeah, one and two.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen six. He's done what, eight? But no, he's done
Nine,
more than
nine
that.
technically.
Yeah.
If we're okay, well, 10. Sorry, 10 now.
Oh, and I have
Because
seen
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have seen
So
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight was the one he called the eighth, but it was actually the ninth. I because I don't. I don't understand. This is actually. I'm just going to talk about this now. May as well. So I don't really understand this whole which ones are count and which ones don't. I don't know whether Kill Bill 1 and 2 he's counting as one movie because they were kind of his volume 1 and volume 2,
Yeah.
or if he's not counting Death Proof because that was made as part of the Grindhouse double feature with Planet Terror, which was kind of its own project with Robert Rodriguez. I don't know which one doesn't count. Obviously, he's like written other movies and stuff, but in
Mm,
terms of ones he's directed, yeah, I don't really know how that's supposed to go.
yeah. It's like the GTA sequels, basically.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, I don't know which ones are the proper ones. It's
So why is this one five and not San Andreas? Because wasn't that the fifth one? Like,
You're right.
well, technically, I think it might be the sixth one because GTA London. But like,
Yeah, no one gives a shit about GTA London though. That was
hey man, there's a raving community of people out there who are like, they should make an HD GTA London. Like,
why.
why? It would be so rubbish. Like, hey, let's go driving. Except you are going to be stuck in traffic though.
Yeah.
Like, as you're driving around, you go through congestion charges, and it's like, oh shit.
Pay congestion charges, stolen cars.
Like, yeah, I know, right? Like, I like the idea that that's still a thing.
um, right. So Django Unchained. Should we just jump right into the plot rundown? I
Yeah,
feel
like,
like it's
well,
it's
it's an 8-year-old movie.
yeah. I feel like we can just say, look, there will be spoilers in this one.
Yeah,
It's fair. Film gets going pretty quickly.
yeah.
Really doesn't fuck around. There's the credit sequence, which is a really good credit sequence, by the way.
Mm,
Although Tarantino's known for having pretty iconic credit sequences. We see some slavers.
yeah.
Like through the credit sequence, we see this group of slaves being like pulled along by these two guys, and then after the credits, it's at night. They're going through like the woods, and this ridiculous dentist wagon pulls up, which I'm still not sure if that's like realistic or if that's just something Tarantino
Oh
thought
my
would be
god,
funny.
I feel that I googled this at a certain point and somebody was pointing out that springs weren't invented at the time of the movie. So
That can't be true, can
I feel
it?
like that's a thing. Like somebody's like, those type of springs weren't invented at that time. They came about at a later time. It I don't know. It may have even been Raymond. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
I,
I
I
feel like, I mean, we weren't that. They were like, what, 5, 6 years off the internal combustion engine? I feel like
Yeah, but like, come on, it's all like straight pieces of metal inside of one of those things.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm sure there's stuff with spring. I have to.
I
I'm
don't know.
dubious about that.
It,
I am
I
dubious.
haven't googled it. Like it's I just remember somebody said that at one time. Like
Yeah.
springs didn't exist at that
I
time.
mean, I know there's weird shit like that where shit happens in an order that just doesn't seem to make any sense. So it is. I will hold on to the possibility, but I'm also very dubious about it. They were almost into modern times with this. You know what I mean? Like in terms of.
I know, right? Like they're less than 100 years away from World War like two.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. They're approached by this possibly factually inaccurate dentist wagon being and on well pulling the wagon is Dr. Schultz and his horse Fritz.
yeah.
And right away, Schultz is such a great character.
Mm.
He's he is just consistently super casual.
Yeah, like he's just so jovial.
Yeah.
Like
It's not a million miles away from the way he plays Hans Landa in Inglourious Bastards, but to a completely different effect.
yeah.
Like Hans Landa, it's to build sort of tension.
Yeah, it's because like, hey, I can be this fun kind of charmy guy, although I'm a fucking monster.
Yeah. Whereas with this, it's like he actually is that guy.
Yeah,
But he's also a bounty hunter, so he just happens to have a job that involves killing people. It's almost like this bizarre juxtaposition between his personality and his job.
which sometimes you go, well, they wanted dead or alive. You could maybe bring them back alive, right?
Yeah.
But it's old times, so it was all corporal punishment. Like they were going to die anyway. So
Yeah. Also, like transporting a dead body is way easier than a prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
Especially a prisoner that's probably going to get hanged and therefore is going to try and escape multiple times at any given opportunity.
Almost like you could make a movie around trying to transport a living person. Then set it all in a cabin for some reason.
Anyway. Yeah, so he, Schultz anyway, comes up to these slavers and he's like, I want to do a deal, basically. He addresses the slaves directly and he's like, were any of you owned by these three guys?
The Kurukan plantation.
Yeah, the Kurukan plantation. And Django speaks up, kind of hesitantly, but, so Schultz offers to buy Django. The slavers aren't really having it because, well, he's this weird guy who just kind of showed up and is foreign and has a weird dentist fan in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, like how did he track him down?
Yeah, like everything about this seems just off. So they're like probably understandably not overly trusting of him. Mm-hmm. So like one of them points a shotgun at him and there's that great line, what was it like? Are you just being over dramatic or do you actually intend to kill me? So he just like cocks the gun, like he doesn't even say anything. So he just shoots him. He has that kind of the Robert De Niro Taxi Driver spring-loaded fucking.
No, man.
He doesn't use. Oh no, he doesn't use that for that.
He uses the revolver on this one.
He uses the revolver on him.
He blows him away, and
yeah, you're absolutely right.
That was the moment where, like, he blasts that guy in the head, and then he turns to the other guy and blows away his horse.
Yeah.
And I was just at that moment, I was like, damn. Squibs just hit different, man. Like,
yeah,
there's no comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is why I wanted to do this movie, because Django Unchained was the movie that was supposed to change everything.
Yeah,
like digital effects, man, they suck balls. Fuck it, I don't care. Get rid of all of them. Like, none of them are any good at all. Just bring back practical effects.
Yeah, I also think, especially for movies of that sort of scale and budget, where it's like you don't need to be cutting costs.
Yeah, it's like just pay the extra $20 and have a fucking squib explode on a guy.
Right? Yeah, but then you can't do alternate cuts for different markets to have less blood or no blood, depending on, whether or not you're showing it in an airplane, for instance. So you
what
can
they
have
should do?
the airline edit, because people are more easily offended at high altitudes, as we all know. And therefore...
They should do the Batman thing. Like, to get around the fact that Batman wasn't allowed to punch people, on the frame of impact, they just flash to white. So every time someone gets shot, it just white flashes all the time. The rest of the blood still just splatters everywhere.
That's a solution.
Yeah, it's like, there you go. It's the trash solution. You can have the trash version of the movie, or you can watch the actual fucking movie.
To be honest, I'm down with that. So yeah, anyway, he shoots the one of the slavers on the horse that the other slaver is on, and the guy gets kind of crushed underneath the horse.
Yeah, it's like some fucking Return of the King business.
Yeah. But he still remains just as casual even then. He's like, he like pays him, and then he's like, I require a bill of sale. The guy at this point is still trapped underneath his horse.
Right, and then he's like, don't worry, I'll just make my own. It's like, why'd you even pay him then?
Yeah, like, you're forging a document, but like, he still pays him. So then, yeah, he takes Django, and then as they're leaving, is basically just like, to one of the other slaves, he's like, I don't really care what happens, but just so you know, nearest town is 30 miles back that way. North Star's that way if you want to get out of this state. And here's the keys. Do what you want with him.
Yep. Like, which is pretty cool, because aside from being like a easy way of just saying, hey, it's set during slavery, but this guy's not like a dickhead. It also sets up essentially his doom for like the rest of the end of the movie. So it's pretty good. It says dual purposes.
Yeah, definitely. And they go straight from there to this town, where they ride in, and straight away, like, everyone's kind of stopping and staring because Django's a black guy on a horse.
Yeah. I really liked that. Like, as he rides in, Django's head was like, because I didn't even bother paying attention, apparently, the other times I've seen the movie. It is a long time since I've seen the movie, though. But Django's head, like, goes like through the noose, like, on the like framing of the shot. Like, that's really good.
Like,
I like that.
Yeah, it's a good shot. And then they ride into town. Like I say, everyone's staring at them. Everyone's like, what the fuck, like, So they pull up to like this tavern, go inside. I love that the guy is just like fixing a light fitting.
Yeah. He's like, hey boys, it's good to see you, but we're not quite ready yet. Like, we'll be open in a little while. Like,
yeah, and then turns around and there's that like snap zoom, like,
yeah,
like this snap zoom like reaction shot.
Oh, yeah, it's a black guy inside of the pub. Like, what do we do?
Yeah, and then like it cuts straight from that to the guy running out of the bar. Like, he runs out, and he's like, and Schultz just shouts like, remember, get the sheriff, not the major.
The marshal.
Yeah. Yeah, so he's like, he runs and does exactly that. He gets the sheriff. That's the first. Is that the spring-loaded one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when he first pulls out the Robert De Niro, like, spring-loaded gun. And just shoots the guy, like, point blank.
Which I am like, what kind of Inspector Gadget-ass bullshit is this? They just got a spring-loaded, like, little tiny gun coming out. I'm like, do they exist now? Like, what?
I mean, you can rig something like that, definitely.
Yeah, I know. Like, go on into like YouTube, if someone will be making one like DIY Schultz gun, like.
Yeah. So yeah, he kills him, and then he's like, now you can get the marshal. Yeah, and then like basically that's when he kind of before that, while they're waiting for the guy to get the sheriff, he actually explains to Django that he's a bounty hunter and that he
is looking for the Bacall brothers.
Yeah. So and I think he offers Django like basically like, look, you come with me, point them out, you go free.
Yep.
You know, as straightforward as that. So then the marshal comes and he's kind of like, yeah, this guy's not who he says he is. I've got a bounty for him. I'd love the own right at the end of just, you owe me $200.
I just love the thing where he's like, hey, what was it? Obviously, tensions are a little high. Do you promise not to just shoot me when I step outside? And they're like, yeah, we're not gonna shoot you like a dog. Like, what you mean, like shooting our like sheriff, like a dog in the street?
You shot the sheriff. Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly what I mean. Like, he's like, yes, we won't shoot you. And he's like, all right then. He just like strolls out. Like, yeah, so he's wanted, and I just killed him. So you owe me $200, mate.
So here's the interesting. I remember when I first watched the movie, I assumed from that point that the rest of the movie would be them tracking down these three guys, because that's kind of how the dialogue implies it's going to happen. It's like we'll go from plantation to plantation until we find them, and then you go free. So it's like, okay, that's the story. But no, not really, because they get to the plantation in the very next scene.
Yeah. They're just like, this is the one.
Like they have a little bit of them buying some clothes, which is great because Django's like, I can pick up my own clothes, and then like the next shot is just him in like full Austin Powers, like
right,
George Lazenby like blue suit with the fucking ruff.
Yeah, no, I was like, whoa, like, damn, got like the fucking Victorian fluffy ruffled thing going on. Like, what is this?
I don't know if like, probably it would have been. I'm assuming like that would have been super expensive back then as well, because I'm pretty sure that was still when like anything blue was generally like really expensive, because blue dye is just more expensive, or was before we could create it artificially.
Like what was it, like purple? Like purple was crippling.
Yeah. It was all about just like, because obviously you have to use like certain things to get dyes.
Yeah, purple was like some little itty bitty shells. Like, you had to get like a creature and use its shells to dye it.
Yep, and red was crushed up insects. To the point that red food dye, even when we were kids, still had that in. I think you still can get that now, but usually it's artificial now.
Eat them red skills. They're made with beetles.
So yeah, they get to the plantation straight away, and Django like basically, while Dr. Schultz goes to speak business with like the plantation owner, the owner's like, show Django around. So while she's like, this other slave is like showing him around, she's like, he basically gets her to like point out
like,
where
there must be some 3 new guys who joined up, right? Show me where they are. And he finds out that they have gone and have started whipping like another slave for breaking eggs, which brings us to a cool little flashback, where we see that Django and his wife were like runaway slaves. They tried to run away.
Yeah.
And
it shows her being whipped and him kind of like, trying to basically get it to be done to him instead.
Yeah, like he's begging. He's like, look, I'll do anything. And he's there, and he like Big John, I think it is like, I like the way you beg, boy.
Yeah.
While they just whip his wife.
Yeah, and then he walks over. I like that he doesn't run either. He just power walks the fuck over there.
Right.
Shoots the guy dead in the chest.
Like as he's like bleeding out, like he shoots him, and for some reason I love the way this guy, he's like walking around with the whip, like whipping the air and everything, like to build up suspense for the fact that he's going to whip this woman,
Yeah.
and
And he's quoting the
he's
Bible.
he's quoting like the Bible as he does it, but he's also got Bible scriptures,
Yeah, he's just got pages just stuck
pages
to
like
his.
stuck to his like shirt for some reason. Like, is that a thing? Like, when did that happen? Like, I have no idea. So yeah, Django just rocks up and is like, "I got the minigun now. Like, go gadget gun."
Yeah. So yeah, he shoots him like dead in the chest. And then he gets like the best one-liner, probably in the whole movie. There's a few good one-liners, but I think it's the best one.
It's so fun.
I like the way you die, boy. But mostly because he walks over there, because there's a lot of time and tension. It just can't help make me think that he was thinking of that as he was walking over. Like, oh, I've got the best. Okay, I know what I'm gonna say. This was gonna be fucking awesome.
I'm actually gonna fucking get this guy back. Like,
yeah,
yeah, and like the other guy is just not ready at all, so he fumbles and drops his own gun.
Yeah.
So Django grabs the whip and begins whipping the shit out of him, which just fucking awesome. He's just there, just whipping him over and over again. He's like, ah, and they play it nice and in slow mo too.
Yep.
Like,
and then he just grabs the gun and shoots him.
Yeah.
And then Schultz kills the third guy, right? Because the third guy's
because like Schultz comes over and he's like, "Whoa, you could have let me know before executing these dudes." Like,
yeah.
So he's just like, "Right, is that the guy I need to kill?" He's like, "Yeah, cool." And then he just makes like this really good sniper shot, which is filmed really nicely because like the horse is riding and. They do actually two really nice sniper shots in this.
Yeah, they do.
Because the horse is riding and gets shot, and then the blood like splatters all over the cotton. Yeah, and it's like, oh, that was really cool. And you see him like fall off the horse.
Yeah, it's really, really good. So yeah, it's like that's a bit of a weird one because when I first watched it, it's like this is so jarring. They've done what I thought would be happening at the end, and we're like. Barely any time into the movie. It's like the start, practically.
Yeah, it's literally still like first act.
Yeah. So then they get attacked by a sort of proto-clan.
Yeah. I literally wrote the words proto-clan.
Yeah, so there's these guys. They've got not the clan hoods, but they've got just sort of pillowcases on their heads with eye holes cut out, and it honestly might be my favorite scene in the movie. It's so funny. Just the argument that grows out. I mean, this is one of those real, sense of humor is subjective, and this so lines up with my sense of humor is the just bickering and like everyone kind of just yelling at each other and getting more and more heated.
For me, it did like one of the perfect things as well because. It was like in, what's that? What was the movie called? Where you were using the phone, speak to the KKK members.
Oh,
Black Klansman.
Black Klansman, yeah.
So it totally reminded me of like Black Klansman in the fact that they were like, "Hey, so we've got like some like white supremacists here. Instead of like having them be intimidating, though, we're gonna make them look like jackasses."
Yeah,
and like. Who they have in there? It's not Seth Rogen. It's
the
other one, the mini
Jonah Hill.
Jonah Hill. They're like, oh, does anyone have an extra bag? I just ripped mine and I made it work.
No, there's no extra bags.
And then like I love that one guy. He literally just Cartman's out. He's like, screw you guys, I'm going home.
It's almost the insane inflection as well.
Like he literally just like. My wife spent all day getting 30 bags together and cutting holes in, but now all you want to do is criticize. Like, I'm going home.
It's so good. It's such a great scene. Oh,
Yeah.
it's interesting that you brought up the Spike Lee thing, like, you know, a Spike Lee movie, because Spike Lee was so down on this movie.
Yeah.
Like he really ripped into this movie. Like he was like, you know, I mean, it's not. I don't think it's the first time he's criticized Tarantino, but this was like really
So weird because I was like, but you guys are like kind of the same guy. Like I feel that the two of you would love like working together. Like you
yeah,
make like great movies together. Why don't you do that? Like,
yeah. It's a weird one. It's a really weird one. Some bizarre beef there, but like, yeah. Anyway, yeah. So the Proto Clan kind of go to attack them, and they surround the dentist wagon,
mm,
and get underneath it because they see, like, you know, sleeping bags and stuff. So they assume they're sleeping under there. It's all empty. Well, what we saw already is that Schultz took the money out of the tooth and replaced it with dynamite. So then he just snipes the tooth, and a bunch of them just blow up. And that's where we get another on horse guy on a horse get shot.
because Big Daddy starts riding away.
Yeah. What I like about that one is unusual sort of thing for Tarantino is that you don't see the squib. He doesn't. You don't see it, like, it's, you see like the horse's legs, and you hear the gunshot, and you sort of see some like blood mist.
Yeah.
And then you just see him drop.
And then as they pan up, you just see that the horse is covered in blood.
Yeah. Really well done.
Yeah, it's like, wow, like you're making getting shot into like an art house movie. Like, this is really cool.
That's Tarantino, weird merging of the grindhouse and the art house. Like, no one else really seems to be able to pull it off, but he really gets it.
Yeah.
Like,
I do like it as well that I was like, why would you do this? He's like, hey, Django, do you want to take the shot? Like, why would you just ask that? So he's like, yeah, sure, okay. And as he shoots him, he's like, the kid's a natural. Like, oh, okay, I see what you did there. You just found like a nice excuse for Django to be really good at shooting people without actually like having to like do loads of training.
Yeah.
But they even cover it with training later on anyway.
Yeah. It's really cool. Really cool scene. Really rounds it out well. And that kind of, but yeah, that goes into the real story start point.
Yeah.
Which is in the downtime afterwards, they're just chatting, and Django says about that he had a wife. And he's like, what's your wife's name? And he's like, it's Brumhilda. And that's when Schultz gets really sort of immediately invested. Because he's German.
Yeah.
And
he's like, German name?
Yeah.
Well, I'm automatically interested. And also it kind of links to what, like a German tale of Brunhilde and Siegfried.
Yeah. So yeah, he
not Siegfried from Soul Calibur though. Like, could you imagine that shit? Like, out of nowhere, fucking like Django just pulls out the soul edge, and like he's just wearing like fucking armor. He's got like the monster arm and shit, and he's like, yeah, I'm about to fuck up Calvin Candy, bitch.
Man, that'd be cool.
Put Django in Soul Calibur 7. His revolver speaks 1,000 volumes.
Oh my god, I would love to hear the narration intro
like
for Django.
On his intro when in stage, it's just like him like spinning the gun around. Like, he's still got guns.
Oh, that'd be awesome. It's not that out there. Darth Vader was in a Soul Calibur game. So.
Yeah, that's true. We'll have to speak to Namco about it.
Yeah, we've got contacts in Namco. We can make that happen.
Like, we just like fucking Namco's like, we're on behalf of like Tarantino, we're like licensing out his character for him. Like, he's got like the Soul Edge revolver. Like.
Oh, so awesome.
Uh,
Anyway, so yeah, they basically Schultz then is like, okay, look, you want to go rescue your wife? I'll make you a deal. You work with me, make some money, and then after the winter, we'll go and get Brumhilde. They have kind of a montage of that, like of
yeah, doing like jobs together, doing training.
yeah,
Like Django starts like doing like some revolver shooting and whatnot, becoming more accurate.
yeah, yeah, and then they make their way to Candyland
No, they go to that Mississippi town thing, don't
in Mississippi. Oh shit.
they? Because they need to find out where she went afterwards.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
Mm.
you're right.
And what was it? No, there was something I wanted to say from there, but I forgot what it was.
I didn't write any notes from that part of the movie either.
I remember like just at that point during like Jesus Christ, like one the locations because you were saying
Oh
like
yeah.
locations are freaking fantastic.
Yeah,
Um,
that they are amazing.
and I was like, I really love these like costumes, man. Like the costume design is like fucking awesome for the like period. Like
Yeah, because it's not just a case of period accuracy. It's like everything makes sense for the character who's wearing it.
Yeah,
Like it's completely an extension of the character. It's really thought out.
yeah, everything feels really, really clever. Like I'm like, yeah,
I
whoever
don't
did
know
this.
if it was like nominated for any awards for costume design, but it should have been if it wasn't.
Yeah, I completely agree on that.
Because yeah,
Like the sets also, God, they look really good. Because when they get to the town where they have the bill of sales and everything, I was looking and I thought, wow, like they've got like the dirt and the sidewalk and everything else. Like it looks amazing. Like
yeah.
how they did that, I don't even know. Like that shit just looks so like the wooden sidewalk, the mud, like the fact they've got all those built up housing. Like, yeah, this is freaking awesome, man.
Yeah. It doesn't look like a backlot or anything. It doesn't look like
Like, where did you do this?
yeah.
Did you really find
So I mean, I
like
think
somewhere in the open?
we went to one at was it Sony lot that had that had the western kind of swamp town set, and it was nowhere near us. It was
Yeah,
like it looked like a standard film set, and I
yeah.
don't think they would have dressed that. I'm guessing they went to somewhere that was kind of actual. I know there are a lot of abandoned old towns and stuff, so it's potentially they could have used that because
Okay.
obviously America being America, it's really big and really empty. So often when a town stops making money, they just move. So there are a lot of these ghost towns. So it is possible that they could
Okay,
have used one of
that would
them
have
and did
made
it up.
sense.
And but either way, it's really really
At the
well
same time,
done.
I'm like, wait, there's just ghost towns in America? Like, bruh,
A lot.
like being homeless? Nah, fuck that, man. I'm just moving into this ghost town, baby.
Yeah, unfortunately, most of them are in areas that have like no resources because
Yeah, I
America
know.
kind of sucks, and they have loads of land that has resources, but for some reason they just don't build stuff there. Instead, they move to deserts and build stuff there. It's why you've got the whole of the Midwest is mostly empty. Use that, build on that. You could basically fit all of America in the Midwest.
I don't know. They're weird.
Yeah, they are. But anyway, they the sets and everything, and and definitely when they're in Mississippi, when you first see it, and like everyone's being pulled through the mud, and it just looks so grimy and so real.
So then they do find it
They,
that Brunhilde was sold to Calvin Candy,
yeah,
and they formulate a plan.
yeah. So
Um,
like basically, the plan is like, well, we can't just like go up there and just try and buy her because they're not going to take us serious. They're not going to be interested in that.
mm,
But if we pretend we're getting into the totally historically accurate Mandingo fighting scene, the totally not just an actual blaxploitation movie called Mandingo that Tarantino liked, that I will admit I haven't seen, and I know, stop pretending to be a fan of exploitation cinema and go and live in the woods like the Unabomber. I know, but I haven't actually seen Mandingo. Anyway, pretending to be interested in buying a Mandingo fighter, which is slave death matches, basically.
Which, like, even though it's not a real thing, because, you know, fucking money, like, not gonna, like, spend money on that. But, like, I'm like, hey, man, like, how many times do you watch something and, like, the Roman gladiators get together to fight to the death? Yeah, no, that's just not how Roman gladiators work, mate.
No,
like, they did not fight to the death. Like, maybe they'll throw some slaves in and then kill those guys, but, like...
Oh, and I mean, sometimes people would die.
Oh, like, yeah. But, you know, like, people die in boxing.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's that kind of people would die. Like, if you're gladiators, because, you know, you spent, like, fucking money training that guy so that he can, like, fight and shit. If he dies in, like, his first fight, that's all that money, like, down the drain.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, he's got to have loads of fights. So, yeah, no.
Yeah, definitely. But, so it's... They pretend to be into Mandingo fighting so they can spend a silly amount... Well, say they're going to spend a ridiculous amount of money on a Mandingo fighter.
Mm-hmm. And then, like, while they're there, casually just be like, oh, we like this Brunhilde chick. Let's buy her as well.
Yeah. And they have an in because Schultz is German, so he can pretend he wants a girl that he can speak German to.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of... Their plan really, really works. It really makes a lot of sense.
Except it's the worst plan for Schultz. Like...
Yeah.
Like, oh, I was like, oh, you could have... Oh, if only you could have found any other business. Like, you're like, yeah, I don't like this whole slavery thing. Like, and that's just regular slavery. Let's go into death matches.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do some death matches. I can't stand to see the suffering of other people. Like, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So, yeah, it's a hard sell for him, and is where the cracks slowly begin to form. Like, I like it. It's good.
Yeah. That's also when they get to... Well, first... I don't want to skip to that, actually. So first, basically, Django, he's pretending to be a slaver now.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's like, you know, basically like, you know, black slavers are like the lowest you can get. So, you know, basically he was like not comfortable with it. So like Schultz was basically like, then you play it like that.
Mm.
So he does. And there is that real like, there's basically...
It feels like a balancing knife edge game.
Yeah.
Like, it's so well written.
Mm-hmm.
You're constantly wondering what's going to happen, whether it's going to be, is Django going to push it too far and like arouse suspicion, or is Schultz going to like show his hand at being like a soft touch, or like is something else going to happen, like something unexpected?
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it's really good. It's really good how they have it working.
Yeah, absolutely. Brain gone.
Okay. At that point, they then go where they go. So yeah, basically they rock up to like meet Monsieur Candy,
Mm-hmm.
and while they're there meeting him, he's like, excellent. He's like, anything I should know before I go see him? He's like, well, he prefers being called Monsieur, not Mr. Candy.
Yeah.
Also, he's like, he likes French. Okay. He's like, don't speak French around him. He can't speak it. Like,
Yeah.
And it would just embarrass him. Like,
it's so real.
Yep. Like, guy is just like pretending to be posh.
You know that even now there are like rich Americans, particularly Americans, because Americans are like obsessed with pretending to not be American. I've noticed this. Like they will lean on like hundreds of years old heritage from some other country, and they'll act like they're from that country. It's like, well, you're not either. It's like you get it with like like, oh, I'm Irish. It's like, well,
Hey,
are you though?
yeah.
Are you?
Like the link is tenuous at best. Like,
yeah. Candy's like pretends to be French, and but doesn't speak a word of it, which is great.
and what was it? They come in to just a crazy fight going down.
Yeah,
And it's like, wait, so Mandingo fighting is just held in like some dude's living room with like two guys just watching it, like basically like all right, like it's literally a Pokemon battle. Like dudes like get together and it's like Billy, 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 Billy. All right, go. Like Ben, I choose you, and he's like, yeah, go other guy, and they're like watching them battle it out together, and they just yell instructions at each other.
It's a
It's such a weird thing. I was like, you don't want to put him in a ring?
no. Apparently,
Like,
this is just like a one-on-one betting sort of system, like poker. It's just like okay,
all right, fair enough.
Um,
And that's where we get the cameo.
yeah. Franco Nero shows up. Franco Nero being the original Django. A lot of people don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Django originally was a spaghetti western, very good spaghetti western, that also spun off into a bunch of very fraudulent sequels, like Django Rides Again and a whole bunch of them where like they weren't at all sequels. They weren't related.
Yeah.
The only thing they had in common is that Franco Nero was the lead actor in them, so they would just plaster the name Django on the poster to trick people into buying tickets to see their other not as good spaghetti western movie.
It's super weird, like that was a thing. Like, and the other thing I thought that was super weird was the number of people who. Now, I've not seen the original Django movie, but like I have had the plot rundown told to me by some people.
Yeah.
But like when I first heard that, oh yeah, there was actually an original Django movie, right? So everyone who was telling me that there was an original movie, they were like, oh yeah, so this Django is actually like a reboot. It's like a retelling of that movie.
Yeah, no.
And like then finally, like one of my friends was telling me basically like the rundown, like it's about a guy who his wife is already dead and he's dragging a coffin around. That's got her body. Like there's already a drastically different movie.
Yeah. No, what Django Unchained is it's a Django Exploitation movie. It's a fraudulent fake Django movie because Tarantino is from the same world that I am from, where he thinks this sort of shit is really entertaining.
Yeah.
I genuinely, when I first saw like Django Unchained, just the name as the next Tarantino movie, I laughed so hard because I predicted that it would be a Django Exploitation film, not an actual Django film. I was like, I know what he's doing. I know what that sly bastard's doing. Django Unchained sounds like the name of one of the fake sequels. Like it's like
technically by putting the original Django in as well, it genuinely actually does.
Yeah, it has Franco Nero
with all of those.
And it falls in line even more that he's not the main character. He's just some random dude. The only way it could be more like a Django Exploitation film is if no one in the film was actually called Django. Franco Nero has a brief cameo, which it's a cute little moment. He's basically like he's betting on the Mandingo fighters, but then he goes over to get a drink at the bar where Django's sitting, and he's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "My name's Django. Can you spell it?" And he's like, DJANGO. The D is silent.
Trigger moment.
And then he just looks at the camera, like he's just like, I know. So yeah, because he was Django.
Yep.
That's a cute moment. Um. So yeah, that's also obviously, let's not undersell this. Also, is the introduction of John Candy. John Candy?
Mm.
No,
Calvin Candy.
Calvin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Of Monsieur Candy. And yeah, he is really good. I've heard some people be kind of down on DiCaprio for this role, and I think he did a really good job.
I think he did a fantastic job. Well, I don't see a reason to complain. Like, maybe like one person has a reason to complain. Like, I could say there's one person who has a reason to complain.
Yeah.
But like otherwise, no. I think he did like a really great job.
It's a weird one. Some people are just down on DiCaprio in general, it seems, because he had his pretty boy phase, and because he had his pretty boy phase, therefore everything he does has to be terrible, apparently.
Yeah, like I do feel that there's like unnecessary grief towards Leo. Yeah. Like he, it's weird because his performance is so alien, I guess, but it is because he is playing a really weird fucking guy.
Yeah.
So it
makes all the
sense.
details about this guy are bizarre. I mean, he has a potentially incestuous relationship with his sister.
Oh yeah, I was saving that. I've written that down, like, because that's just the most bizarre line delivery.
Yeah,
like where like he's just talking and whatever, and then he's just like, "Where is my beautiful sister?" Like, why did he scream it? Like, did like Tarantino write in the script like scream at the top of your lungs?
Yeah, or is that just how he
like,
chose to
he
do it?
just chose to deliver it like really weird. Like, yeah, me and my sister clearly got like this really overly familiar like relationship.
And here's the thing, it could have totally not been in the script and just been in the performance, because the whole time there's nothing explicit in the script that would say that that's there, but it clearly is there.
Yeah.
But that could just be how he chose to play it.
Like it's super interesting. Like I really like the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like rando people are just assholes for no reason to Leo. Also, he does try really hard. Like, he's like, I'm gonna pick this role. It's like, yeah, we get it. You really want the Oscar. Like,
yeah, well, there definitely is that. But I'd also say he has totally proven himself at this point.
Yeah.
Between this, Shutter Island, I'd say was a big moment for him.
I think Shutter Island was probably the time that he probably should have got it. Like, I really like Shutter Island.
Yeah, it's a good film. I know people always are like, Scorsese works too much with Leo, but it's like, yeah, well, I mean, he's been good in like everything that Scorsese's put him in. Like between that and Wolf of Wall Street, it's like he does a good job. They work well together.
Yeah, I don't understand why people complain about, these guys getting their like cast of guys back together. It's like,
funnily enough, though, no one does that with Tarantino and Sam Jackson.
Right? Like,
Sam Jackson's in almost every Tarantino movie. And well, I don't know about almost all. It's about half of them. So
yeah, he didn't get into Kill Bill. No. Well, that's because he originally wrote Bill as just Sam Jackson anyway, and then at the last minute didn't cast it.
yeah, it's a weird one, that. But anyway, they then go. Well, they head out on their way to Candyland, to the actual building, and basically on the way they run into a runaway Mandingo fighter.
Yeah.
Who is he's hiding up in a tree, basically. And he's like, I don't want to fight no more. He's like, was it like, I paid $500 for you. That means you do 5 fights. You've only done 3. And fucking Schultz almost blows it that
Yeah.
early on, where like he's like, are you going to reimburse me for that? And he's like, I'll reimburse you.
Yeah.
And Django has to be the one to kind of be like, no, he won't.
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, not reimbursing you, but you should stop just tormenting this guy. Just
Yeah.
do whatever you're gonna do." So he's like, "Oh, well, then we could just give this guy the most gruesome death ever."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Let's do like what was it? Have the dogs tear him apart,
Mm-hmm.
like Jesus."
Yeah. Which absolutely like that sort of stays with Schultz. Like just
Mm-hmm.
like he's just kind of can't really take it in. Whereas, Django's seen some shit.
Yeah, like he's like, well, I've had to live this life, and also like I'm trying to get my wife back, so
Yeah, yeah.
there's no point me blowing it now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So yeah, he's like, I'm staying steadfast, but Schultz is like, Jesus Christ, man, this is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah. Right after that, basically, they go to. Oh, actually, one other thing about that scene is I didn't realize this until seeing the end credits, but the guy with the dogs is played by Tom Savini, which is a weird little cameo. Because I genuinely I've seen this movie a fair few times and I never noticed that.
Mm.
It's like, oh, okay. I just saw his name pop up in the credits and I didn't even see what it was attached to, but I was like, I'm pretty sure he didn't do like the practical effects on this movie, so I'm guessing he was in here as an actor, but and it's like, oh yeah, no, it's Tom
Yeah.
Savini. Um, there he is. There he is. So yeah, then they go to Candyland and they are greeted by Stephen.
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson in possibly his best role in a Tarantino movie, which probably puts him in the running for best role flat out.
Mm. Yeah, like I'm not gonna lie, like I think he gives my favorite performance of the movie. Like everyone gives like really great performances in this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm like, yeah, I think his is my favorite
Sam
because
Jackson is a much better actor than people give him credit for. He's a very typecast actor, so he
yes,
usually just gets given the same exact thing, which is, kind of a generic character that shouts a fair bit and says the word motherfucker once.
yeah,
That's his thing. Tarantino, weirdly, is kind of responsible for that being how he gets typecast, but he never uses him the same way twice. And yeah, he does not use him that way in this.
I love on this viewing, like just because obviously I'm watching it more critically, I'm paying more attention to
Mhm.
stuff that's actually happening rather than just with film brain. Um, and with it, like from the very instant that he gets up or whatever and he starts talking, you can more or less tell that he's like, I'm actually in charge. Like,
Yeah,
Candy thinks he's in charge,
yeah,
and like if he ever makes like a definitive I'm putting my foot down, I'll like acquiesce to him. But like
yeah, but really,
I actually run everything here.
yeah.
Like Candy doesn't know what's going on. Like he couldn't wipe his ass without me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, oh shit, like I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
And
Samuel L. Jackson, like Stephen, is the real villain of the movie.
yeah, and I love the fact that instantly, it makes so much sense. Like when you see it, and you just go like, of course he hates fucking Django. Like he hates Django from the very moment he gets there.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because Django is riding around on a horse, like he's like free.
Yeah,
And in his mind, all he's thinking is, I've worked my ass off to get to the position that I'm in, where I'm running all of this stuff.
yeah,
And here comes this guy who's like, yeah, but like I'm free. I'm above even you.
yeah,
And he has like a real desire to like be that crab and like pull him back into the bucket.
yeah,
And
yeah.
you gotta the crabs don't want to see another crab make it.
Yeah. Or in other words, he's Uncle Ruckus.
Yeah. That nigga is guilty. Like, he shot a man from 300 yards away. Oh, he thought he was gonna get away with it because he was. Oh, I'm blind. Fucking Boondocks, man.
Such a good show. But yeah, so
I was happy at the back of the bus. Oh, God. Just throwing them bricks at him. Just going like, oh, my eye.
So yeah, basically, they kind of try to get the plan underway relatively quick once they're there. Like they're like, Schultz is like, that girl who speaks German. So like, you know, can I see her tonight? You know, before dinner. What's Leo's character called? Candy. Candy's like, Stephen, can you get Brumhilde? It's like, she's in the hotbox. It's like,
well, get her out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, she got 10 more days left. Like, 10 days? Jesus.
Right. So they take her out, and obviously Django is like right there. So she's been in effectively an oven.
Yeah, for like the last like several hours.
Yeah, well, it said yesterday that she tried to. They said yesterday she tried to escape. So
caught her in the morning, didn't they?
Caught her in the morning, so probably like the whole day, basically. Yeah. And like, so he's like right there. So like, you know, he's like, you see like, oh, is he gonna blow it? You know what I mean? His hand's like hovering over his gun already.
Mm-hmm.
But he keeps it together. Schultz, you know, later on, he's in his room, and Candy's sister brings Brumhilde to his room. Which I love that she's just being really like weird and pushy, and she's like, speak German for him, speak German. It's like that weird stage parent energy.
Yeah.
It's
I love how weird what was it, Miss Candy is? What was her name? Laura Candy?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, because she's all like still trying to be really posh and like, you know, putting on airs. So after like she hands her Brumhilde over, she tries to talk to him some more about some random shit, and he's like, yeah, whatever, and slams the door in her face.
Which I do love, because like, as far as she's concerned, he's basically like seeing a hooker, right? Like, it's like, yeah, I mean, it's kind of weird that you're trying to have a conversation now.
Yeah, it's like, I'm about to, like, you know, get my rocks off. Like, I don't want to talk to you.
Yeah, like, what? So then, like, he starts speaking to her in German. And basically, like, okay, look, we're actually kind of here to rescue you. And we've got a mutual friend.
Yep. She's like, I don't have any friends. It's like, turn around.
Basically, he signals for Django to come in. Django comes in, and she just like faints immediately. Which, what is it he says? He's like, oh, he's just
you
like,
you silver-tongued devil.
No, what does Django say though? Because he's like, hey, troublemaker. And then she faints. He's like, you silver-tongued devil, you. Schultz is great.
Yeah.
He's just like thoroughly likable the whole movie.
Right.
After that, they're having dinner, and everything seems to be moving in the right direction. You know what I mean? Schultz is like closing the deal on this Mandingo fight, which isn't real, but you know, it's like
it's a good plan as well.
Yeah.
Like $12,000 for it. He needs to like draw up a contract, so he's like, I'll come back in 5 days.
Yeah.
With like my lawyer and a physician to check him over.
Yeah, and just as he's about to be like, also, this Brumhilde, can I buy her? And just as like he's literally about to close the deal, Stephen comes out and he's like, meet me in the library. So like, they go off into the library, and this is the one bit that I'm a little, really? Okay, Stephen figures this out too easily, don't get me wrong, him saying something's up is fine, but he gets like all of it right, like to the last detail. He knows exactly what's going on.
Well, I don't
It's
know.
like, I don't know. It's too much. He has such a limited scope of what's.
I don't think it's actually that crazy, in all honesty, because what was it? Ms. Laura like lets the bean slip by going like, oh, I think what was it? Brunhilde has eyes for Django.
Yeah.
And he starts like looking around, and he's like, "Do you know that guy?"
Yeah.
To which she's like, "No," because she's like freaking out, so she can't sell it.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, like I said, him knowing something's up. It's just he seems to hit the nail so on the head.
well,
But like they're married, and
he's 70 years. He's like over 70 years old. He essentially runs the candy plantation
yeah, I'm not
on
saying
his
he's
own.
not like a smart guy. I just think I don't know. It feels like I would have, were I making it, I would have had like just maybe one extra sort of scene, extra moment, something that would tip him off a little bit more. Because it just feels like the time span is really condensed.
Well,
for him figuring everything
he's
out. I don't know.
fishing for everything, though, isn't he? Like,
That's true, and
he's
because he is like he doesn't trust them from the second they get there. So there is that definitely. But either way,
so I feel it's more like, rather than being like a fully sussed out thing, I feel it's more of like a scrambled guess to try and find some excuse for why Django can't really be a free man.
Yeah,
like that would be my thing or reasoning for it.
Yeah, that's fair. Either way, Leo comes back in and he's pissed now. So like, Candy's basically like, look. Well, actually, first he pulls out the fucking skull, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He comes in and he's like, okay, this is a weird one anyway, right? Because it's like,
man comes in with some phrenology.
Yeah, and it's like the skull of one of his former slaves. It's just in like a doctor's bag. So he just pulls out this bag, pulls out this skull, just sticks it on the dinner table, and he's like, and it starts with the phrenology, these dimples are. He smashes the back of it and like pulls out the skull. He's like, these dimples are associated with, or the placement of these dimples are associated with submissiveness.
Yeah, it's like the Negro is the most submissive creature on like Earth or something like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, what? Like, that don't make sense. It's like, if I was to pull out the skull on like Einstein, like, those dimples would be on the part of the brain that shows creativity.
Yeah.
You're like, what? Like, dimples? Like,
yeah.
What? Man, this is like, phonology is like a weird piece of shit like science.
Yeah. Well, it's because it's straight up made up. Like, I said this during the film, but it's like, that's the weirdest thing about it, is that it's not even a misunderstanding of science. It's just straight up some people who had no background in it making it up.
Yeah, like it really is like,
because wasn't it developed by like a fucking journalist or something? It was someone who had like no background in biology or the sciences whatsoever. It was someone in a completely unrelated field who just like made all this shit up.
Remember the good old days where you could just like, get a career in anything if you just said random shit that.
Well, yeah, because people knew so little about it that they didn't know how to call you on the bullshit.
Nah, man, it weren't even that. They were just like, phonology is one of those things where it's like, oh sweet, it agrees with all the things that I like.
Yeah, that's absolutely why it caught on. It was like, oh, this justifies everything we're doing. Like, this is great.
I bet you any money I could become a climate scientist if I was just like, hey man, climate change just isn't real.
Yeah.
No, actually, if you know anything, burning fossil fuels actually removes carbon from the atmosphere.
Oh yeah, no, definitely.
And guess what, guys? Like, before you know, the next episode's out, I am going to be like officially a climate scientist. Like,
yeah,
some oil oligarchs are going to come find me.
Yeah, Yeah, they'll pay for you to get a totally legitimate like fucking
What, scholarship?
scholarship. Yeah, you'll get like you get it all paid for. No, you don't have to show up. Just
Yeah.
you're guaranteed this. You just
You know, the terrible thing is, part of my brain is going like, wait, why haven't I done this?
It'd be great to not have any values.
Yeah,
right?
I know, right? Like,
Life would be so easy.
just have money be the only value you care about. Like,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I'll say anything.
Yeah,
It doesn't even
legit.
matter.
So anyway, he does the file chronology thing, and then obviously this leads into the kind of him being like, I'm calling you out on your bullshit now. I know what's up. So it gets very, very heated, you know, guns get pulled, all that.
Leo smashes a glass.
Leo smashes a glass. This is probably, I don't feel like I even need to really tell this story because I think everyone knows this.
Yep.
But if you don't somehow, he smashed the glass for real.
Yeah.
He actually slammed his hand down and then his hand really did start to bleed. And when he wiped the blood on Hildy's face after that, that was in fact real.
Yeah.
Like you say, one person absolutely had every right to take issue with that performance.
Yeah. Because I'm like, wow, that's like quite powerful. Also at the same time, that's fucking horrifying, dude. That's like so many violations. Like,
yeah.
Oh god.
Well, least of which he potentially had glass in that hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, even if you just forget, like, you know, everything else, the fact that, you know, that could have potentially led to an injury. Like,
yeah.
It's not great. It's one of those things. I feel like if I was making that movie, I don't know. I don't know what I would have done, but I feel like I would have stopped rolling.
Yeah.
At the very least, I feel like I would have taken him to one side and be like, you do anything like that again, you are off this fucking set.
Right? Like, you can't do that. Like, see, I'm in such two minds because...
Oh, it's a great in-character moment.
If you're like rolling and then it happens, I'll be so mad, but I'll be like, if I stop this now, that just happened for fucking nothing. So then there becomes that thing of like, I'm really pissed, but it's happened, so we have to roll with it.
It's the stage mentality of like, show must go on. I think I'd probably word it. It'd be like, okay, I finished filming the scene. You can't undo it anyway, right? So it's like, okay, finish filming the scene, take him to one side, and rip into him.
Yeah, like...
That'd be kind of my approach there, because, yeah... But this was a Weinstein production, so, you know, probably not the worst thing that could have happened to women in regards to, you know, this film, particularly, you know, potentially casting and things like that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, fuck Weinstein. That's, don't fuck Weinstein. Don't. You don't have to anymore. That was the whole thing.
Unless you want to fuck him with a cactus.
That's completely reasonable. So, anyway... Yeah, so he kind of, it gets really heated. The whole glass and the blood and all the shouting and the guns pulled and all that.
And they're like, fucking pay 12,000 for Brunhilde right now.
Yeah, basically, it's like you pay the 12,000 now or we're basically going to kill you. Like, dozy choices, you know.
Yep.
So, they do.
Like, luckily enough, they just had 12,000 on them.
Yeah, considerably more than that.
Yeah, like... I love how, like, as well, they like, put the rest of the money back.
Yeah.
They're like, we're not going to rob you. Like, we're just paying the 12,000.
Yeah, which totally makes sense because in their eyes, they're not, like, criminals.
Yeah.
You know, they're acting within the law.
They're honest businessmen.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, they do it. And it seems like, okay, they've sorted it. You know, that's it. That's all there is left. And then it's like, you know, finally he's like, shake my hand. A deal isn't done until you've shaken hands. Those documents ain't worth anything until we've shaken hands. And he's like about to leave anyway. Like Schultz is like, nah, fuck you. And he's like, shoot Brunhilde if they try and leave without me shaking hands with them. So he walks over and hidden gun.
He's like, go, gadget, gun!
Yeah. and shoots him and fucks everything.
Uh,
But like you pointed out as well, that there's this moment he kind of turns around and he's like, I couldn't resist. But like the look on his face is like, I don't regret anything.
yeah, like
He's been shot at this point.
he hasn't been shot. He's
He's about
to
to be
get shot.
yeah.
Yeah, like he turns around. He clearly knew. Like, and he has like this shrug of like, yeah, what you gonna do? But at the same time, he's also a bit like, hey, I'm really sorry. This probably fucks things over for you, but it's worth it.
Yeah.
Like...
So yeah, he ends up, he dies. He gets shot to death. It leads to the big shootout, really.
Oh yeah,
the like big Candyland shootout,
which
like
is goddamn amazing.
So many squibs, so much blood, so many people getting fucking pulled on wires and all sorts of fucking crazy shit. Like people getting flung downstairs. That one guy who just keeps getting shot in the knees.
Like he's like, I'm right here, just getting shot like
mostly by his own guys. Yeah, I think he takes one bullet from Django in the knee. Other than that, they just keep shooting him in the knee. It's so good. Yeah, it's funny. It's like really action packed. It's bloody as all fuck. Just everything you sort of want and expect from a Tarantino shootout, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Again, going like, why don't we just do this like more?
So it almost seems like Django's even going to get away with this one because he like guns down fucking tons of people.
Mm-hmm.
And he's fine. But then
Steven's like, you're all idiots.
Yeah.
Like, just threaten his wife.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Because he's really in control. So it doesn't matter that Candy's dead.
Yeah.
It's like, he's still in charge.
Like, if anything more, it seemed like his scream of no was more like, this is bad because, like, you know, that means Ms. Laura will be in charge and, like, there's a potential that, like, I don't know, maybe another guy could try and muscle in, and I don't have like years worth of manipulation on that like new guy, so this could fuck everything for me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Basically, he's like, that's my easy life gone.
Right.
So yeah, he threatens Brumhilde, so Django gives himself up. They hang Django upside down, and they're about like the dude. I don't even know his name. The guy who's from The Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
He goes to. He's about to cut off his balls basically with a very hot knife.
He's like, "Come here, Django. I'm gonna jerk you off."
So literally, as he's about to do it, Steven comes out and he's like, yeah, change plan, don't do that. You've got to go and sort some shit out. So like he goes away and like he's like, yeah, I'm not gonna let you die that easy. I'm gonna sell you to these like slavers that are like, it's like a mining thing, right? So like basically you're never gonna see the light of day again, literally, you know.
Like,
you probably won't live very long, but you know the time you do spend alive is going to be horrible.
It's pretty interesting. Like, I read a book with Metro 2033. 2030? No, what am I talking about? Anyway, in that they talk about like mining people to death in there, like the Nazis, like they just get like the undesirables and put them in the mine to mine to death.
Yeah.
And yeah, it sounds awful. Awful. Like basically you mine and move around until you are exhausted. Like it's really cool how they describe it, because at first they're like, yeah, Artyom's a young man, so you know he can kind of manage, but then as time wears on, there's just no recovery time, so you just wear down bit by bit until you just collapse, and like there's no getting out of it. If you try and fake it, they go, hey, make sure that person's really dead. And like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, make sure they're dead. Like, smash them in the face with like that crowbar or whatever.
Yeah.
And then throw them on the pile and bury them in with like the wall or whatever. But
Mhm.
obviously not burying them in these mines. But I was like,
Yeah,
damn,
yeah.
it's dark. So yeah, after reading that, I was like, man, yeah, getting mined to death is horrible.
Yeah, without a doubt. Happened with in what would be Serbia, I think now. With the highway, there's like a big road, and literally the road is paved over like mass graves of people who were working on
Jesus.
the roads. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm sure that's probably where it came from because Metro 2033 and that series is all done by like a Russian author, so
Right.
Eastern
Yeah.
Europe
Yeah.
has
Well,
got to have
Artyom.
a
Yeah,
way
that
of
sort of makes
connecting.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah. So yeah. Anyway, he goes off with these new slavers,
what,
where we get
Australian?
who are Australian, which is our Tarantino cameo. Of course, he has to appear in his own movies. It's the law, and he can't. He doesn't do a great Australian accent.
Right, I was like, why did he
Half the
choose
time, it's like
Australian?
he's trying to. It sounds like he's trying to do English, but then
Yeah,
sometimes it kind of goes Australian, but then it slips into South African at times. It's all over the place.
yeah,
He is not great. Americans can't really do any accent apart from American,
right.
unless they're like really good actors. So,
Yep.
and it doesn't help that clearly the other guy actually is Australian, or at the very least can do a good Australian accent. So it's the juxtaposition there is pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
it's like, all right, one guy's putting on a voice and there's maybe a guy from Australia.
Yeah. So anyway, they're going off, and Django basically is like, "Look, I'm not a slave. Listen to how I talk. Like, I'm not a slave. I'm a bounty hunter. If you look in my pocket, I've got like a bounty.
Yeah, and it's of the first bounty he had to do.
Yeah.
A dude called Smitty McCall, who he had to gun down in front of his own son.
Yeah.
And the worst bit is, he sniped him as well. Didn't like come up to him and be like, you're under arrest and now we're gonna
No.
kill you. He's just like, son's just working and he's like, here.
Yeah.
And he just falls down and he's like, Dad, you alright? Like, where's half your face?
Yeah. Literally. Yeah. So he kind of convinces them, and he's like, "Yeah, look, I'm. There's those guys, the Smitty McCall gang. They're back at Candyland. If you let me go with you, you can get $11,000."
Yeah. And he's like, we're gonna have to ride into Candyland and like, just take it on. But I tell you what, like, you guys should let me help you kill him, like, because I'm like the marshal or whatever.
Yeah.
So like, let me have one of your guns.
Yep. So, also, they're transporting dynamite on one of the horses because they're miners.
Yeah.
So he's like, I don't want to ride a horse with dynamite. So Tarantino picks up some of that dynamite, and he throws some into the cage where the other slaves are. And then he goes to grab the other one, and he's walking away. And the guy, hands him his gun. And
be careful, don't drop it. I just got like the sights all worked out the way I like them. He's like, oh, cheers for letting me know.
Yeah, shoots both the
like,
both the slavers right in front of him.
Doesn't even pull it out of the holster.
No, still in the holster, and then shoots the dynamite that Tarantino's carrying.
Like as he does like a jump turn around.
Yep. And there's like there's like the fucking snap pullback, and it's great. It's so great. I think it was it that moment where I actually said that like what I love about Tarantino movies is the bursts of violence.
Yeah.
There's no build up to them, and then they just sort of stop.
Yeah,
they're always like they're really quick,
now.
and it just happens, and there's never any big music stings or anything. It's just kind of boom, 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 boom. Oh shit, a load of people are dead, and there's loads of blood everywhere now.
Yeah.
And it is how this movie handles most of its shootouts, apart from the big shootout. Every other shootout is like that. Apart from some of the snipings.
Yeah.
Which we've already talked about. But yeah, then he like grabs the rest of the dynamite from the cage and rides back to Candyland on his own.
Yep. And like while he rides back, like one of the slaves then just like turns and like starts to grin and is like, I'm giving the black nod.
Like I said, while we watch it, the nod of approval, the quiet nod of approval, is one of my favorite tropes. It's always funny.
It's just like, yes, like he pretended to be like, because realistically, that guy is probably just like, I have no idea what's going on,
Right?
But like, he's just like, yes, that guy. Like,
yeah. So he rides back to Candyland, and
like
the next thing, well, he goes to the guys
who
killed the guy with the dogs. Right?
Yep. And he kicks down the door and
Kicks
he's like,
down the
D'Artagnan, motherfucker!
Yeah.
Because D'Artagnan is the name of the slave who was killed by the dog.
Yeah, and that leads to the, oh yeah, I didn't mention that, Schultz's line of Alexander Dumas was black, which was weirdly controversial when this film came out. I remember people like arguing about this and like, oh, well, if anything, he would have been mixed race, and it's not 100% known because, it's just thought that he was, and it's like, look, one, it's a movie, it's a Tarantino movie.
Yeah, like,
why would you suddenly start caring about historical accuracy, even if that wasn't true? Secondly, fucking close enough, right?
Yeah, and also if you wanted to go back to like, I don't know, if you're going with historical accuracy, then like being mixed raced, especially in like America, doesn't remove you from being black. You're still just counted as being black at that time.
Yeah.
I think it's other areas like, I think Caribbean islands and what was it, like Brazil, where you have like different like amounts and different like ratios, names, and whatever's, where you can be valued at different levels based on
your makeup. Basically places that are incredibly mixed anyway.
Yeah, like what was it, like what was it, I don't know the term, quadroon, I realized is for somebody who is like a quarter black.
Oh, right.
Yeah, like,
I thought you meant like a four-way split of four separate distinct
races.
Right.
Like I'd heard the term quadroon before, but I didn't know what it was, and then I was like, oh, it means that they're like.
I mean, that makes more sense because a specific name for someone who is just a mix of four specific races is like, that seems needlessly specific. Why would there even be a name for that?
The classifications are needlessly specific. There are actually hundreds, and they all came with their own legal definitions and things, and dependent on where you were, can change. Like you could be in one place, and then if you went somewhere else, your classification completely changed. It's hard.
Bizarre. But yeah, he anyway, he goes back to, he goes and like, D'Artagnan motherfucker shoots that one dude in the dick. Because why the fuck not, right?
Yeah,
like, guns down the rest of them again, really quick burst of violence.
Yep.
Then he's off to the house.
Yep, he's like off to main Candyland.
So it shows them they've just come back from the funeral, from Candy's funeral. And he like, Django's already waiting for him. And he's like fucking
he's got like some fancy new clothes.
Yeah, which I think is implied are Candy's clothes, right?
I'm assuming so, right?
Because he's like, burgundy, and Candy was wearing burgundy in the other scene as well. Obviously not the same clothes, but like, he's like, burgundy. Like, I didn't know burgundy was my color.
Which I was like, of course it is, bro. Like, burgundy looks amazing. Like,
I don't totally know what burgundy is.
It's like a reddy, like maroony kind of color.
I'm somewhat colorblind, and anything from dark red to purple is just purple to me. So I don't really know that spectrum.
Yeah, like, I have a burgundy shirt and it looks awesome. Like, specifically when I'm wearing it, like, the shirt looks good itself, but like, I'm like, I like wearing this shirt. It's cool.
But yeah, they so there's this big encounter, and Django's like, well, he just basically starts shooting them down almost straight away, really.
Yeah.
He shoots basically all the white guys, basically.
Yeah, because
all the
like
white
they're all
people,
packing
because
guns
it's
and
like,
stuff.
yeah, and shoots, what's her name?
Yeah, he's
Candy's
like,
wife.
that's Candy's girlfriend. No, Candy's sister even.
Same thing, really.
Yeah, they've definitely got like a thing going on.
Yeah.
I love how he's like, hey girls, to like the slave girls, like, say bye to Miss Candy, and like,
Bye,
Miss Candy. Like they just blast her. Like,
yeah,
she's on like a wire and they like yank her off.
It's probably the most obvious wire used, but I kind of love it.
Yeah, like
yes, the physics of it don't really make any sense. Like the angle he shoots her at is nothing close to the angle she flies back.
Like I feel that is so definitely intentional. Like the fact that it doesn't physically make sense.
It's too off
Mm-hmm.
for it to be accidental.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like off by like a few degrees. It's like
he shoots her at a 45-degree angle,
and she moves at a 90
degree
yeah,
angle. Yeah,
it's like it's way off. So yeah, it definitely is intentional. It's just to heighten it even more. It's just like, because fuck it, movie.
Yeah, right. It's like we need to get her out of the scene. Like we're gonna kill her. We don't want her to like fall down and then just be laying on the floor for ages.
Yeah.
Like let's just get her out of the scene. Like blam, gone.
And it's great. So then there's like one last little sort of standoff really between Django and Steven, who's like basically like, you've just ruined fucking everything.
Yeah, and like, I love at that moment Steven, like the whole time throughout the movie he walks around with a cane and with a limp.
Yeah, and then he throws the cane down and straightens up.
And he's like, I count 6 shots.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is it?
I count 2 guns.
Yeah, he's like, I count 6 shots, nigga. It's like, I count 2 guns, nigga. Like, oh, what a fucking sick line. I really like that.
But yeah, I do like that he throws the cane down because it's like, that's just another part of his manipulation.
Yeah.
Harmless old man.
Yep. If like it wasn't clear before, like, yes, the whole thing has been a charade. Like he's been running Candyland himself.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I like the fact that even at that time, old man, he was like, okay, I've got to try and use whatever I can to my advantage. He was counting the shots. Yeah.
And then he does that, like, you know, I bet you've seen a lot of stuff happen to people over the years. And you listed a whole bunch of them. But you didn't say anything about kneecapping. And he just like shoots him in the knee. This film has a thing about people getting shot in the knee.
Huh. A year after Skyrim. Fucking Samuel's just on the floor. Ah! Now I'll never get back to adventuring.
No, I have to be a guard. So
now I'm just seeing like remember like in Oblivion, because obviously Oblivion guards were way better. Yeah, he's like, stop! You violated the law. Like it's like just Samuel running like motherfucker. Now that needs to be a mod.
Yes, it does. I wouldn't be surprised if it already was one, to be honest.
Samuel Jackson is all the city guards in like Skyrim, where he just runs up to you like,
oh my god, it should. This isn't even related now, but like it should totally just be a Pulp Fiction soundboard. So it's just like Big Kahuna Burger.
He's just like at the bar, like going some mead. He's just like, can I get a tasty beverage to wash this burger down?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Anyway, yeah, Django then just sort of leaves him like kneecapped.
Mm-hmm.
Walks out, and you see the dynamite going, and he doesn't do the cliche. He doesn't walk away slowly from the exploding house. Instead, he turns around, puts on his sunglasses, and watches. And there is such a Tarantino shot. Like, it's hard for me to even articulate why this is so Tarantino. But there is a moment where Brumhilde, who's also watching from a distance on a horse, just puts her fingers in her ears.
Yep.
And it's kind of a really exaggerated motion. She's almost looking directly at the camera. And the camera's just something about the way the camera slowly moves in and then stops. It's like, it all just comes together. It's like, that's Tarantino. That's I can't even articulate why, it just is.
Yeah, it's like, this is such a Tarantino shot. Like,
yeah. And yeah, the house blows up, and that's your movie. It's a really good movie. There's stuff we haven't even talked about, like the soundtrack and how fucking amazing that is.
I did write that down. I was like, I love the soundtrack.
That was divisive though.
It was.
Like, I remember a few people being like, look,
how can you have modern hip hop in like a film set in the 1800s?
It's like, well, I mean, this is based on spaghetti westerns, which had electric guitar throughout them.
The other thing that I enjoyed, like, is I saw an interview with Tarantino talking about this, and he was like, what, because the movie's set in the 1800s, I can only use instruments from the 18... Like, shut up.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like, exactly.
Like, fine then, like, why don't I just use an 1800 camera as well then? Like,
yeah. It's a ridiculous sort of thing. And it works thematically. I mean, Tarantino soundtracks are always good. Like,
yeah.
The only person who seems to think otherwise is Jonathan Ross. I don't know if you've ever seen that. He did an interview with Tarantino, and he was like, "Okay, you need to stop using soundtracks where you lift songs from other films, okay? Because all that happens is I start thinking about those films, and it distracts me from the movie." It's like I can actually relate somewhat, particularly Kill Bill. Kill Bill was probably did that the most for me, because that movie lifts so much of the soundtrack from other films. So just like, oh man, like there's just so fucking much. There's even like the Green Hornet theme. There's like fucking there's music. I think there's music from the original cut of Game of Death, the shitty cut.
There's only one thing I'm thinking of from what's it called? There's only one thing I'm thinking of from Kill Bill. Like, there's only one song. The one song that just wouldn't go away and was just around forever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know why that song was all over the place for...
It's a good song. A good song.
It was annoying, man. It was really annoying.
I apparently lack whatever part of the brain gets annoyed by music, so I'm fine. Like, there's music I like and music I don't like, but I don't have the can be annoyed by music part of the brain. So I can
Wait, so you're down with like the Crazy Frog?
Doesn't bother me.
Really?
Yeah, whatever it is that makes people get really wound up listening to certain types of music, I don't have it.
Wow, because I was gonna say like. Yeah, the Crazy Frog was annoying, because I'm like, I like Axel F. Like, fuck off.
Oh, don't get me wrong. It was annoying that it became really hard for a little while in the, pre-streaming MP3 days to find the actual Beverly Hills Cop theme and not the fucking Crazy Frog remix. That was annoying, just because it was like, because you didn't know either, because it starts the same. So... it depended on how it was labeled, you'd fucking download it and it's like, ding, ding, fuck's sake, another one?
Yeah.
LimeWire was not great for labeling stuff right, to say the least.
Fucking hell, man.
System of a Down, Legend of Zelda.
Hey, man, all I'm thinking about is my friend Kevin, who was like, yeah, man, I'm gonna get XXX2 the next level, innit? Like, it's gonna be sick. And then he's like, oh, I'm really sorry, because his whole thing in school was like he would download movies and he would sell them to people. Yeah. Sorry, man, the FBI's coming for you now. So like he downloaded XXX2 the next level and was going to sell it to some kid at school. And he's like, I'm really sorry, mate, but I couldn't actually get a good copy of XXX2. I downloaded it, but when it came out, it was just porn. To which the kid who was like there, he was like, "That's fine, I'll buy that." And then like his like DVDs, like illegal DVD selling like business changed from selling movies to just selling porns.
Wow. I mean, well, that's a hustle. Or it was a hustle. I mean, it's completely redundant now. It's bordering on redundant at the time, to be honest. No.
Yeah.
That's pretty great, though.
It was just so funny.
But yes, anyway, Django Unchained, final verdict, good fucking movie.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine if you're listening, I think we're up to 4 people. You've seen it. You've almost definitely seen it.
Yep.
Because it's fucking Django Unchained. And if you haven't seen it, you should have watched it already before continuing with this. If you still haven't seen it, just fucking watch it.
Yeah.
Just fucking watch it.
It's a great movie. Like, watch it again. It's worth watching, like, repeated times, multiple times.
Yeah, and it's such an easy watch that yeah.
Oh shit, guys! Did you know that there's also a Django sequel? It's called Django versus Zorro. Like, I don't know why it's called versus, because they team up, but like Django and Zorro. The only thing I can think is both the names end in O, and that's why they were like, yeah, we're going to cross these characters. And
Pretty
it's
lit.
fucking amazing.
Yeah, you showed me
the movie. I don't know. Like what was it? The comic came out. Yes, there's like a comic book of it.
Yeah.
It's a graphic novel. Came out in 2015. There's talk about, and the graphic novel weren't just like they just shipped off some rando. Tarantino's name's on it. Movie could be coming out 2022.
baller.
Possibly, maybe. I don't know.
Hopefully.
Tarantino doesn't really do sequels, but maybe he will this time. It's been 10 years.
Yeah. Hopefully. Hopefully someone else doesn't make it.
Yeah, I would really like. We don't need like
the only other person I would trust to make it would be Robert Rodriguez, which would be appropriate. Zorro, Robert Rodriguez. I'm actually surprised that that's not been done yet. Seems right up his alley.
I wonder who they'll get to play Zorro. I think it would just be Danny Trejo. Because he's meant to be like an older Zorro.
Potentially. Right, anyway. Django Unchained. Great movie. Recommend it. You've probably seen it, but I recommend it. Until next time, Ian Beale.
Ian Beale. Bring back Squibs.
Bring back Squibs. So yeah, I would fuck Weinstein just to, be like, I'm the dominant one in this situation.
I was going to be like, you have to assert your dominance.
I have to assert my dominance. Show that I'm the true alpha. I'm not using that. That's ridiculous.